Hello. Welcome to a new episode of Brown Girl Unscripted. It's your girl Rucha. I'm the host of this podcast, and we put videos out here every single week and all bite-sized content. As we approach the end of the year, babe, I feel like there's a lot in our minds. We're thinking about New Year's resolutions. We're thinking about what even was this year. I'm not gonna lie, 2024 was really chaotic for me. I started this podcast mid-year. I started my fashion brand. I got laid off from my job in tech like the end of last year. And so that's been something. And honestly, like a lot has happened. And I just wanted to talk about something I feel like doesn't get talked about enough. And that is a burnout, okay? Like Brown Girl Unscripted is a place where you feel safe and inspired and all that. And we talk all the time about hustling and putting yourself out there and doing all of that. But like, I just want y'all to know, like, all of that is not devoid. Is that the word? Devoid? Yeah, I think it is. Devoid of being burnt out and taking breaks and just like prioritizing how you're feeling as well, in addition to putting yourself out there and doing all those things that are like very like productive and self-development related. So in this episode, we're gonna dive deep into burnout and my take on how I've learned to overcome my burnout. In no way or mean is this perfect, or is it something that like every single thing in this video is going to work exactly for you. But I want you to listen to it all and think about the things that resonate with you. And let me know what you think in the comments, honestly. And of course, leave a review if you really love this podcast. I realized I was burnt out from my business, from even making content, and just like really just having so much on my mind a couple months back. And I noticed because I realized I wasn't able to do anything without thinking about the tasks that I had left to do, or like the fact that I don't know, that I'm not where I need to be exactly just yet. And all these things stressed me out so much that I wasn't even able to like view the progress that I was making. And granted, a lot of that does come from like environment, the people you surround yourself with, like what kind of standards they have and all of that. But at the end of the day, I was not taking measures to really prioritize myself. I was honestly not in the best place. And it really just felt like I was at rock bottom, honestly. And I want to be honest about that because I feel like no one talks about that. When people talk about making a business and starting a business, all of it, my hair is like pissing me off right now. Okay. All of it is very much like, oh, like I worked so much. I did all this, that, but no one talks about the days when it's like, oh my God, like I just want to give up. I'm so burnt out. I don't want to do this anymore. This is so hard. I feel like I don't know anyone. I feel like I don't even know what I'm doing. And then you talk to your family who, for the most part, I feel like most of our families as entrepreneurs, like they might not understand what we're doing. And they're like, Flora, just get a job at this point. Like, stop doing this. And it's a lot because you put so much pressure on yourself, and there's a lot of societal pressure, family, friend. There's a lot going on. And I would say my biggest saving grace when I realized I was burnt out was I was talking to a friend, and they made me realize how far I've come since I started my business. And I think that having friends that are genuinely so supportive of you and very positive, like they don't have to be in the entrepreneur space with you, like they don't have to be having the same goals, whatever, but like having friends, guys, that really just like want to see you win. They recognize the progress that you've made even when you don't see yourself. And the same way that people talk about, oh, in healthy relationships, like you should be with someone that helps you fall back in love with yourself and uplifts you and all of that. I feel like the same thing goes with friendships, because friends are a chosen family, especially if you have a smaller family or you're an only child, etc. Like it can definitely be something where friendships mean the world to you. I know they do to me. And friends at the end of the day need to be your biggest supporters, because if not, what are you doing? Like, honestly, what are you doing if your friends are people where you're scared to tell them about something new, a new venture you're starting, or how you've been feeling? Like, they shouldn't judge you. And if they do judge you and they are treating you like that, you don't have the right friends around you. Like, literally, dump them. The same way I tell you to dump your girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other, whatever. Dump that friend who makes you feel like you have to constantly act like everything is perfect constantly, because no one's life is perfect. Like literally no one's life is perfect. So like, why are we faking it? And I think that in itself causes even more burnout, because you're already burnt out, you're tired, all of that, and you're trying to act like you have it all together with your friends, etc. And that's just not like none of us have it together. So like let's just start being more honest with each other. Like, hey, I had a shitty day. Hey, I'm so tired. I'm so burnt out, but like let's like do this one thing together. Like I started thinking back to my days in engineering school and the types of things that I would do when I was burnt out there, because let me tell you, like women in STEM and all that, it's like a cute title, but like engineering school is like, it's so like it's just really freaking hard, honestly. And I would not have survived or gotten through if it wasn't for the people that I surrounded myself with. Like I attribute so much of my success in engineering school, even getting my job and all of that, to that, because I otherwise I wouldn't have been where I'm at. And I think that community is everything. And so I started focusing onto that, especially when it came to my business as well, because I'm like, okay, well, if that support meant a lot to me and it was such a big part, like why can't I apply the same thing to business? Like it doesn't matter if someone is not in the same exact boat. We can encourage each other and we can both get ahead. And I started doing that. Like I would have working sessions with my friends. I would tell them about like, hey, like I'm experiencing this is happening, and get such good advice and like good things that like to like put into play for my life. And I think that again, like friends mean so much. And if you're navigating an point in your life where like you haven't met your people just yet, I think you can use this opportunity to connect back to yourself, even because oftentimes you're your own biggest critic. I feel like we, especially if you're in your 20s, you're just like trying to figure it all out. And like acknowledging, like making a list of all the things that you've done this past year and genuinely being like, okay, like that was a lot, and then sticking by yourself the way that you would stick with a friend when someone else, whether it's a parent or an unsupportive friend or like whoever in your life, is like, oh, well, like you're not doing anything. Like this is so easy. You have it so easy. And like, I think that especially like if you are someone who has maybe like a family that's like an immigrant family, right? Like they've had different struggles and they've experienced things where they might feel like your life is so much easier because you don't have the same struggles. But it's like, babe, like I am taking advantage of the fact that I have such a strong platform to go off of. Bruh. Oh my god, I hate when I didn't like that. Sorry guys. And it was just like some sort of truck outside. New York City be like. And like you have to remind yourself that, hey, I'm doing this and I made this decision and I'm gonna follow through with it. Like I am gonna be successful no matter what. And me being burnt out, me struggling, me facing challenges is not something that any other entrepreneur has not faced, or any other person who's ambitious or who even wants a specific job or a career or wants to be a creator has not faced. Like they've had their own struggles. All the big names that you see, they've had their own struggles. They've burnt out and they've taken care of themselves, and that's why they got to where they're at. Like I think that's super helpful. And one podcast I really liked listening to, I mean obviously on my own, is Diary of a CEO. I feel like he really dives deep into like mental health and like what it's like to be an entrepreneur and be navigating all this stuff, because it's just real. Like he'll literally be like, honestly guys, like sometimes I eat like literal shit, sometimes I eat really healthy, but this whole thing of you need to eat greens every single day, eat protein every single day, and it needs to be perfect, and if you don't, like you're screwed. No one is actually doing that. All the content that you guys see on social media doing that, these people are not actually, that's not their real life. Like I'm telling you, they have days when it's not like that, and I want you to stop listening to that, because that fuels your burnout, because you're burnt out. And then you're gonna be like, oh my god, I'm not doing all these things. And you feel shittier about yourself. At least I know I did that. So I stopped consuming content. Like I literally just stopped consuming self-development content that made me feel like I was comparing myself to other people who weren't even posting their actual lives. Like they're just posting these like really, really perfect snippets of their life to like, I don't know, sell you a course. I don't know. And I think that like in doing that, like you just realize that your experience is your own. And that doesn't mean that you can't grow your business and all of that, but like own your challenges, own your experience. And if you need a day where you just need to rot in bed, like let me tell you, the power of having a rot day in bed is insane. Like I literally this past Sunday, I just worked from bed. And that sounds like kind of counterintuitive because I was like working from bed, but like I mean like I was just sitting there and I rotted for a bit, and then I was working, and I rotted for a bit and I was working, and this is to say like you don't have to like have this like aesthetic way of working and resting, and you don't need to go to a face mask to like rejuvenate yourself. Like you can just rot and let yourself just like be for a second, and like that in itself can like be so good for your burnout. These are things that like it's seen as like lazy, and it's like, oh, you're unproductive, especially when you maybe are in a really competitive space, or you do come from a specific type of family, and it's like, well, that's just how I'm coping with it. And you do deserve to rest. Like, rest is productive, and you should focus in on that and hone in on that and focus on your strengths and what you need. Because the thing is, I ignored burnout for a while, and the more I ignored it, the worse it got. So don't be like me with that, and please pay attention to it. I took a trip to Japan. I took a trip to Japan recently, and I feel like that also helped me out a lot with my burnout. Which is, I know it sounds very privileged. It's like, okay, girl, you went to Japan. Like, yeah, not all of us can do that, but like, go and take a trip to like a different city, or just like indulge in something that makes you actually happy. It doesn't have to be productive. It doesn't have to be cute on camera. Whatever it is that makes you happy, girl, go and try that. Like, go and do it. Like, actually happy. Like, no profit, just happiness. I did that in Japan, and I think that that was the first time this entire year that I felt like I was actually happy, which just sounds really, really screwed up. But I feel like I was so focused on work, so focused on productivity, growing my business, all of that, that I just forgot that like you're allowed to just be happy and have fun and explore and like do things as a normal, like early mid 20-year-old something. And I think that in those moments, you just realize like, wow, like I'm allowed to experience this, but then also I'm allowed to have a grind, and I'm allowed to go and work on my projects, my business, and go on applying for jobs that I want. And I just feel like it's important to have that balance and like let yourself do it. Like, I think the biggest thing that I stopped doing, like as a culmination of all these things that I've mentioned so far, is seeing rest and like not working as like, oh my God, I should be working, or constantly thinking about it. Because just because you're not doing it, but you're thinking about it, doesn't mean that your brain is off. Like, that's what your brain is what you need to like do all this stuff. So if your brain is just tired, then like it's not gonna do anything. And like, you gotta like acknowledge like the emotions, like whatever you're going through, like journal it out, like, or talk to a friend, whatever you need, or don't talk about it. Like, honestly, talking about it is overrated sometimes. Maybe you just need to like not. Don't interact with anyone. Save your social battery, girl. Have like a day in, ignore everyone. I know that sometimes I want to do that, and I do it, and it helps because you don't owe anyone your energy. Like, you literally can just rot in bed and have that kind of day, and that is totally enough. Let's normalize that. Like, protect your energy. If you're not feeling like interacting with the outside world, if you don't want to go out like on that day, just stay inside and literally just don't talk to anyone, because you can do that, and it's your life. And I think a lot of these things can also contribute to burnout. Like, you're questioning so much about, oh my God, I should be doing this, but there's nothing you should be doing. Like, what do you want to be doing? What do you think is really going to help you? Is it like this career, or more money, or this, or like this enjoyment, or like a new relationship, or like this new friend, or just time with yourself and just not do anything? Like, sometimes it's all the above. Sometimes it's just rotting. And whatever it is for you, I want you to think about that and honor your feelings, because life can be super messy. It can be super just messy to navigate at times. And I feel like the best thing we can do for ourselves is at least be there. Like, you expect all this from your besties, from your family, your friends, all that. So why the hell are we abandoning ourselves just because someone else wants us to be a specific way, or they want us to be there all the time? Like, you don't need to be there all the time. You don't need to be this perfect individual for them, because if it's not good for you, like, you're just gonna have resentment, and that's like emotional burnout. Like, you will be emotionally burnt out, and that feeds into like all these things, like career, like anything you're doing. And that being said, like, please prioritize your well-being. I love you. I'm so glad that you guys like tuned into today's episode. I just wanted to talk about this topic because I feel like it's not talked about enough, especially in spaces where we have unambitious women and we talk about businesses and careers and mental health and all of that. Like, it's either extreme, and I want to normalize like the fact that you can be burnt out, you can be trying, and you can just like be having these up and down, like non-linear experiences in your journey with your business, with your mental health, with yourself, with your career. And it's normal. Like, just stop like comparing yourself. Like, honestly, like, that changed my life. Like, I just stopped and I was like, actually, like, I'm fine, you know? And having supportive people around you that like are like, no, you can do this. Like, they think that like you're that shit, and that's what matters, because you will go to higher heights when you have people around you that push you and that thing that you can do anything you want. And yeah, so I'm gonna wrap this episode up because it's been 16ish minutes now. I think that's what it says on the timer. And I honestly, I know how much ADHD we all have, so let's like wrap it up. But I love you. I hope this episode helped you out because it's a conversation that needs to be had, and I just want you to like know that I'm here for you. And yeah, see you next week, and make sure you stay tuned with our bite-sized content on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I love you. I'm gonna head out now. Bye. I can't believe I believe